Before we get into darken, darken color, multiply, all of the darkening modes, there's something you're going to see me doing a lot, and so I wanted to explain it first. It's possible to apply a blending mode to its own layer, and this makes sense if you think about it. All you need to do is duplicate the layer, then go to the blending mode, and then choose whatever you want. For example, overlay, which in this case will make the image much more contrasty. The reason being that all of the darks are now darker and the lights are now lighter, which is a quick way to fix issues of these strangely dimmed images that are often popular in photos that were taken a few years ago. It was a trend to do these washed out images. It's quite upsetting because normally you want something that has some contrast to it. Now, this doesn't do any color correction, of course, it's just increasing contrast. And when we get to overlay, it will make more sense as to why that's the case. You can also just brighten things up using screen, but that will still remain washed out because the contrast isn't being improved. Now, a quick heads up about screen and multiply. If you're into photography, every 33% of screen or multiply, and by that I mean if you go to opacity while it's on multiply, and you're on a duplicate layer, and you set it to something like 33%, this is the equivalent, more or less, of one f-stop on a camera. So you're getting it wider on multiply and smaller on, the aperture is getting wider on multiply and the aperture is getting smaller on screen. Now, if you're not into photography, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. It's just an interesting bit of trivia that I like to talk about. Now, while we have these abilities to go in and screen things or overlay or any of these, we can apply them to themselves however we want. You're increasing the size of the image with every duplicated layer that you throw in there. So there's an easier way of handling this for simple adjustments. I'm going to throw this away. Rather than duplicating it and sending it to a blending mode, I'm going to create an adjustment layer effect, not apply any settings to it, and then set it to a blending mode. And this will allow me to have the same effect that I would have by duplicating the image, which is quite incredible. So the one that I usually use, and you'll see me using it a lot, is brightness and contrast. And the reason for that is simple. It just has two easy to see levers, brightness and contrast. I can quickly glance at it and see that I did not, in fact, do anything with them. Throw away this layer mask, so I don't even have that. It's just brightness contrast filter, nothing set. Now watch this. I'm going to set it to overlay. It's the same effect, and just to prove it, turn it off for a second, duplicate this. It will be the exact same effect as just having overlay. Here's on a duplicated layer. Here's the duplicated layer. Here's the overlay. Duplicated layer. Both of these are set to overlay, but one of them is just an adjustment layer. And because it's an adjustment layer, it will not really increase your image at all. So if you're doing a lot of adjustment layers and you want to do them to the own image, and this will work on the composite image, unless of course you hold down Alt and create a clipping mask, or you click on it and go all the way up to your clipping mask section under layer, wherever it is, layer mask. No, I'm sorry, layer clipping mask, create clipping mask right here. Layer, create clipping mask. Either way, I like to alt click because I don't have to swing away all the way up there. All you have to do is have that adjustment layer set to nothing. Now, it's a good idea to label these later. If I can type, so that you'll know what they are. And that will allow you to quickly do correction to images without having to worry about increasing your file size. It also allows you to do really fun effects that you would do on top of duplicate images, again, without increasing your file size. So when you see me doing this, that's why. And the reason for that is that an adjustment layer just does adjustments. So it will apply it to the composite image below. That's all. I think it's amazing. All right, I'll see you in the next video.